for reals this time?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey everyone, we're back with the Midshipmen Minute, which is a Facebook and Instagram Live. I'm Grace Lee, and I am the Brigade PAO for this semester. And we've got two guests with us, and we'll be talking about ship selection, which is tomorrow night on Thursday. And we'll be posting a link in our bios to watch the live stream for tomorrow, and that'll be taking place in Alumni Hall. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves to the audience.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Lynn. I'm in 10th Company, going SWO Nuke. We can talk more about what it is and what I'm going to do, but I'm really excited for ship selection tomorrow.
I'm Nate Vinzon. I'm from 4th Company. I'm going SWO Conventional, so no nuke for me. And I'm also really super excited to figure out what I'm going to be doing for the next couple months of my life. And yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So since this is an Instagram and Facebook Live, if you have any questions, just put it in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them as soon as possible. So I guess our first question, for all our viewers who don't know the Navy jargon and everything, what is this SWO Nuke and SWO stuff that you talk about?
I'll go first. So SWO is an acronym for Surface Warfare Officer. It's a separate pipeline that you can choose when you graduate from the Naval Academy. Basically, it's in simplest terms, you go onto aircraft carriers and destroyers and stuff, and you're the people that drive the boat. So that's mainly what the surface warfare officers' jobs are. That's what we got.
Mm-hmm. And so a little bit more specific, there are different types of options that you can also go into. So I picked the nuclear option, which would mean that after my first tour on a ship, I would go to nuclear power school and prototype, and then I would go on a carrier to serve mainly as like a reactor officer. And then, so I specialize specifically in the nuclear field later, but at first I have to get my SWO pin. Other options include like cryptologic warfare, IP, intel, oceanography, and like meteorology. Are there any other ones?
Not that I can think of right now.
Yeah, but there are a lot of other options. Oh, engineering duty officer. Those are all like, those are other options that you can, specialty paths that you can go. But the primary importance of it is that you still have to get your SWO pin first. So you'll still do your first tour for about 2 years, and then you'll go to your specialized school. Yeah.
Great. So what type of experiences did you have as a mid these past 3.5 years that sort of influenced you to go SWO compared to the other communities?
Yeah, I'll go. So I'll go back even further. So my dad was a surface warfare officer, and basically for my whole life, without really even knowing, because I'm straight from high school, didn't go to NAPS, and I didn't really have the Naval Academy on my radar in terms of going to here for college until about sophomore, junior year. So the military life really was kind of separate, and my dad got out of the Navy when I was younger, so I didn't really have that strong connection with the military, where a lot of my classmates whose fathers might even still be officers in the Navy. But my whole life kind of revolved around the same mentality of a military family lifestyle. And then when I got into the Naval Academy, the only thing I really knew was how my father was, his leadership style, how he is with people. And so I gravitated more towards the SWO lifestyle and the SWO leadership style, where we really get into, down with the divisions, we lead people right from the beginning, which was what was really enticing to me. So we also have trainings every summer. We have to do primarily cruises, which are exactly that. We go on a boat and we sail off with them, and it's a cruise. And we get to see the life of a sailor and the officers, depending on if you're a third class, a sophomore, or a firstie, which is a senior. We get to see what it's like, and my experiences have been mostly almost overwhelmingly positive, which I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but that kind of supported my initial leaning towards being a surface warfare officer, and it really hasn't wavered that much. So I'm SWO since the beginning. I don't know, what was yours?
So mine was definitely a lot more different. So I didn't know anything about the Naval Academy, no military in my family, and so I came in like finally figure out what the Naval Academy was, maybe like junior year of high school. Then I came here, and initially I came in wanting to be a pilot, wanting to fly, and then I was like, oh, I want to be an NFL for a little bit, and then back to pilot. I was like, oh wow, this SWO life is really cool too. But then like junior, senior year, I thought that it would be really awesome to also be a Marine, because like that's such a like distinguished service. And then I went to Leatherneck. I tested it out. I thought it was really awesome, and I learned so much and like spent a lot of time with my classmates. But I still think that I didn't want any boundaries between me and leading sailors like immediately after graduation. So I thought SWO was probably like the best option I could do. And I think it's exactly what Nate said, like just jumping right in there and like throwing yourself in a challenging situation and talking to like all these sailors and people who are potentially older or like the same age as you are, and having them look up to you and maybe like rely on you to guide them and just learn from them is I think a huge challenge by itself. So that's mostly why I went SWO.
Wow, that's awesome that you guys have such two different
Yeah.
backstories.
Not
So-
scripted. This is totally.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I guess now can we start talking about the actual ship selection ceremony tomorrow? So how does that work? How do you guys like pick ships and everything? If you want to explain that to
I'll
everyone.
start. Okay, so tomorrow's a really big day for the surface warfare officers, or for the SWO selects.
Selects, yeah.
The selects are not officers yet. But for the selects, because it's pretty much a day dedicated to celebrating us being SWOs and then selecting what ship we're going to first go to and deploy with. Of course, after like all the schools we have to go to prior to that. But basically, we're just figuring out what ship we're going to next on our journey, whatever that is. So basically, we all go to Alumni Hall, which is our big gymnasium and holds the most people. And if you tune in tomorrow, you'll see what it looks like. And all the selects go in order of overall order of merit. So what that means is that it's our grades, it's our aptitude, it's our conduct, everything that goes into who we are as a person and how we stack up against each other competitively. Basically, the person with the highest score gets to choose whatever ship they want first. And then if you want to talk about like how the choice actually.
Yeah, sure. So you'll see like this giant board. There's going to be a bunch of names of ships, all on these little placards. They'll be listed under different home ports. So people will go up there and they'll go up one by one, have their moment on stage to look at the list and choose which one they want. Everyone has different priorities. So like some people really want, like Rota Spain or like Yokosuka Japan. Others prioritize maybe like command climate or a certain type of ship. So like cruisers, destroyers, or maybe an amphibious ship. So based on that and based on what's available when you get up there, then they'll pick their ship, and then everyone will cheer, and then they'll walk off, and that's kind of like securing what their future is going to look like. And often people from that ship or that command will come and support you. Like they'll welcome you onto the ship when you pick that ship, and they'll like shake your hand and get to know you immediately. So it's kind of similar to what I was just talking about that like jumping right in. Like, I mean, it's January of our last semester, and like we're already able to have these opportunities to like talk to officers in the fleet and seeing what our future could look like already. What else?
I mean, in some cases, literally, you'll pick your ship, walk down some stairs through a hallway, and you'll be shaking the captain's hand of the ship that you chose. So, again, that's also something like really enticing to me about the surface warfare community. It's they don't skip a beat. Like, you're there, you're doing it. They're making eye contact with you. You're talking to them. You're trying to make a good first impression, and it's a really a nice culmination of everything we've kind of worked towards, because it's solidifying finally. I don't know about you, but I feel like everything is still up in the air. It's so up in the air about like what's actually happening, because being selected as a surface warfare officer is one thing, and then getting a ship is another thing, and then there's still a bunch of other a bunch of ambiguous information that kind of keeps us on our toes, the military aspect of moving around and whatnot. But really choosing a ship is a huge, at least, weight lifted off my shoulder, and I know it will be for all my classmates. And we're all doing it together. So whether it's the first person that's picking a ship or the last person that's picking a ship, everyone gets a ship. and there's not really a good or a bad or in between. Like, it just depends on the people, how you interact with them, your personal experiences and how they match up with whoever you're working with. Really, it's about the people, which we keep going back to it, but
Yeah.
the surface warfare community is really just about the people.
Yeah.
And that's ship selection. Did I miss anything?
I don't know. I mean, just to add a little like anxiety to it, just I know that a bunch of my classmates, just like talking to them like these past few days, and everyone's like all over the place, like changing their minds, and they don't know like where I want to go, like what ship do I want, and we get the opportunity to like find out more about the ships and maybe like who's on it, and like see what other classmates want, and maybe like your choices towards that direction. But still, like there's so much that is still unknown, and that's why picking that ship is just so important to us. And some people are literally counting the numbers, like they really want to go to Mayport, Florida, so they'll be counting the numbers as people go up there, and hoping that at least one ship will be up there for them to pick. And then I know this will be explained probably tomorrow, but up there there'll be a bunch of there'll be like a lot of different color placards, right? So the white ones will be the conventional SWO. So like Nate here, he will have the opportunity to pick like the white placards. But then, so personally, I can select the yellow ones or the red ones. That's because I'm a SWO nuke. SWO nukes have like a more condensed list, which will help us get our pin faster so we can get to the nuclear power school earlier. These ships typically are like just like operational, ready to go, and we'll be going to school a little earlier, and that way we can just get moving with our lives, and we can figure out our specialty so we can be used properly in the Navy. And then so I can pick either a yellow one or a red one, and then I think there's a green one up there. Those are for the other options, right? So like there's Intel, IP, crypto, oceanography, and meteorology. Those are all the green ones those are the ones that they can pick. And then finally there are these blue placards. Yeah, so they're something called blue chip, which is like a special option, which this past summer, a lot of the people who wanted to go SWO initially already went on a cruise, just like Nate was talking about. And during this month-long time, they were able to go out on like underway. They were able to spend time with a running mate and spend time with the command. And if the captain really liked you and you talked to them to see if you potentially could be offered a spot to come back to the ship after commissioning, then they'll offer you something called a blue chip. So that's what's going to be the blue one. So that means you see a blue one, that person who goes up there and picks that blue one, then they're selecting their blue chip. But if they choose, they have the option to not choose it.
Yeah.
So if they don't pick, like the DDG-82, then that option suddenly becomes white. So it'll get replaced, and anyone after that person can pick that ship. So it's kind of like a game almost, like someone who doesn't want.
Nerve-wracking game.
It's nerve-wracking. But yeah, so that's kind of how it's going to work tomorrow, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome to see how the ship selection ceremonies evolved, because I know back in the day, like they didn't have like all this hype surrounding it, but I think it's a good type of change. It really puts a lot of importance to this event. Yeah, and there's even like walkout songs for everyone to make it super personal.
Yeah.
You have like a slide describing everyone who's walking up and picking their ship. And yeah, so I guess the big question of the night, what ship and like place are you guys wanting to go to? Do you want to start, Nate?
Oh, what about okay. So I've been flip-flopping all over the place. There's so many good. I think honestly, like they're all good choices. I know people who have the experience of like actually living there. Maybe a lot of people that are watching this right now might be like, I can think of a couple of reasons not to go to X place. But me being a super optimistic individual, and from having a lot of SWO mentors on the yard and talking to a lot of my classmates that have graduated, that also tend to lean towards the optimistic kind of positive side. They say that every single port has like the water. Like you're gonna be by the water. You're coast side. Like you can't be put in like a bad, terrible, awful place. Even I've heard some things about like Everett, Washington, or maybe all these other things, but I've been there and it's great. Like you can find the best in everything. And again, me being super optimistic, and I'm dodging the question because
come on, bro, answer it.
No, so I'm
Do you
trying.
have a list of possibilities or?
Right. So I'll just for the sake, because this is super public, I want to say like the specific ship, but I I only have experience on destroyers. So my youngster cruise, I was on a destroyer. In my first class cruise, I was on a destroyer. And I really, really like the crew size. I really like the fact that I know kind of my way around the ship already. And its operation, its mission set, all that other stuff. And I'm from Los Angeles. I don't think I said that. I'm from Los Angeles, California, so it'd be really nice to get back down to San Diego. So I think a destroyer out of San Diego would be fantastic.
Yes, good choice.
Yeah,
And
that
for all
would
my
be
classmates
a great line,
watching this
so.
right now, pick something else. Thanks.
I'm just gonna answer it. I mean,
Sure.
I want a cruiser out of Norfolk. I think deploying. I know I'm gonna deploy rather soon anyway, so heading out to the Mediterranean Sea would be really awesome. Yeah, it'd be sick. And I'm from Jersey myself, so I think staying close to home would be awesome. And I think my parents would appreciate that a little bit. And so I see a lot of benefits in Norfolk. And people hate on it a lot, but I think the mission set of the cruiser and hanging out with the carrier was really cool.
Sweet.
We
That wraps
both
it
kinda
up for.
didn't answer the question.
Hey, no, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. So I guess that's all the questions I have on my part. I guess if we want to look at any of the questions we have online with our viewers.
Yeah.
What are all the options you can pick? Places.
Oh, places.
Oh,
Okay.
places.
San Diego, Norfolk, Virginia, Yokosuka, Japan, Sasebo, Japan, Rota, Spain, Mayport, Florida,
Everett, Washington.
and Pearl Harbor,
Pearl
Hawaii.
Harbor,
And Bahrain.
No.
No,
Bahrain's
not an
out
option
there.
this year.
No.
Not
Just
an
kidding.
option this year.
Not an option.
So what, 7?
Yeah,
Yeah,
8,
7.
7, 8. It's not. It's a pretty wide variety, and something we also didn't mention is that each ship has multiple spots. So if like Jeff and I want to be on the same ship, we could do that. We
Yeah.
could just plan it or not plan it because
I mean, it's a game.
it's a game. But we could, if I was like sitting next to a buddy and we were just like, hey man, like I have no idea. Let's like go to this ship.
Yeah.
All power to you. You totally can do that. So it's not just like tons of ships and then they fill up. Like everyone will get a ship. It's not.
There's more options than number of people. So
Yeah.
And you still have to go to basic BDOCS, which is
Basic
the
division officer.
Basic
course.
division officer course. Yeah. And if you choose Japan, Pearl Harbor, Washington, or San Diego, you'll go to BDOC in San Diego. And then if you choose anything on the East Coast, which is Mayport, Norfolk,
Rota.
then you'll be going to BDOC in Norfolk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or school, after
More
school.
questions? Yeah.
After graduation, do you guys go straight to your ship?
No, so we kind of just answer that. The process is we'll commission, probably have some leave for a little bit, and then we'll report to BDOC, which is like basic school. We learn our rules of the road, a lot of charting, and a lot of like the basic, just basic division officer course is the title of it. There's a couple courses you take, and then we'll be entering into it's new this year, but it's the
SWAT school.
OOD school, right?
Yeah.
Phase 1.
Phase 1. It's new. It's new specifically this year. It's really new.
Yeah.
Basically, they're giving us more time in the simulator because obviously everyone sees the news and sees like the deficiencies in the surface warfare community. Is that sometimes there are just a couple hiccups on the bridge, which is either due to watch rotation schedules, experience, or lack thereof. Just the surface warfare community is absolutely interested in everyone's qualifications and making sure everyone is safe because one of our mission sets is just being on the watch, protecting the seas, being out there forward deployed 24/7, 365 days a year, and that requires a lot of qualifications. So this year we're getting extra schooling basically.
More ship handling time,
Yep.
so we'll get more experience prior to actually going on our ship. But after that, that's about like 3 months, I'd say, and then we'll report to the ship, and that's when we'll meet the ship wherever they are, or if they're in dock or in port or something.
And there's different dates for those BDOC for the schools. I think my older sister, they have an earlier one in September, and then my older sister reported to the November one. Is that
Yep.
still a thing?
There's three. There's
three, yeah.
June,
Oh, there's
September,
three. Okay.
November
Yeah.
of this year. So our graduating class after graduation will be TAD, which is
Temporary
Temporary
assigned
assigned
duty.
assigned duty here at the Naval Academy. So if you have any siblings that are going to be in the class of 2023, they might see us working during plebe summer, duty driving, admissions office, all that in certain academic departments where we can we're on
Yep.
duty basically
here.
until we
Yeah.
have to assign to
Go to
BDOC, which is in San Diego or Norfolk, and then we go to our ship. So it's like a 3-step process after graduation.
And do you guys get to choose those dates, or is it based off what ship you choose?
Based off the ship.
Yeah, it's usually based on like the operational schedule of the ship, so it'll really vary. That's also a new change that happened this year.
Another question was, do you want to go on deployment right away?
That is a good question.
It's a good question.
I don't know if you could hear. The question is if we wanted to go on deployment right away. I do. I just want to get going.
Yeah.
My personality type is that if I sit around for too long, I get comfortable, and we don't want that, especially as we're graduating and then we have to do adult things and pay rent and all that good stuff and have to manage ourselves. I just don't want to be waiting around. I want to get going and get out there.
Personally, I think yes, I do, but I definitely want to time it right so that I get enough training prior and like just getting to know my division and doing all the workups and whatnot before heading out to deployment with the ship. So I think I agree with Nate. Yeah, definitely getting out there and leading is literally just like what we were trained to do, and like that's our job, right? Like this is a people's job. So yeah, I think getting out there and doing that would be awesome.
The question was like, other than driving the ship, what do you guys do?
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you want to repeat it again?
Yeah. So the question was, other than drive the ship, what do you do as a surface warfare officer? Which is actually a really great question, because I'd say a majority of it actually isn't driving the ship. While that is extremely important, but what we do, it's in the BDOC. So we'll be division officers. So if we think about a ship as like maybe a company, there's a bunch of different departments that have to do with the ship. So there's an engineering division, there's a weapons division, there's a supply division that literally has to do with all the food and the water and down to paper clips and things like that that the ship needs to function, because when you're on a deployment, you're living with a bunch of people. And so what the division officers are they're in charge of each part of this ship, and they're in charge of a smaller group of sailors who have separate rates, which are basically just job descriptors of what they are, what they're in charge of, what they specialize in. So you have radar technicians, you have the boats people on deck who do the line handling and a lot of the cleaning of the outside and the painting, and those are all handled by like the first lieutenant, and that's it cut out.
No. What else? So like all of them will work together, and the hierarchy of it is really, will be obviously the lowest officer level. So we'll be split up into different divisions. Above us, we'll each have our respective department heads. It's just like, like a mini manager, and then on top of that you have like the CMC, the XO, and the captain. So that's kind of like the basic hierarchy of what a ship looks like, and our jobs are to manage our division, to make sure that they have everything that they need to succeed, taking care of them, and then as well as us getting qualified in all the different watch standing. Like we should be familiar with like the different engineering departments and figuring out how the engines work and just like how we actually move the ship, as well as how do we stay and watch on the bridge, like keeping lookouts, like how do we take bearings, and how do we call out different commands to drive the ship. So there's a lot of different aspects of it, but for us, it's a learning experience, and also it's a chance to really just get out there and lead. Yeah.
Sweet. Are there any more questions? Okay. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching, everyone, and good luck to you guys. We'll be putting the link to the live stream on our stories, and we have also posted it on the Facebook feed. So check it out tomorrow. It'll be in Alumni Hall, and at 6 p.m. And there will be about 200,
270.
270 midshipmen SWO selects who will be picking their ships tomorrow. So thanks and bye everyone.
See you there.
Yeah.
Woo!